Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 330 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. We are going to be hacking on some Firefox stuff today, as per usual. Maybe some code review, maybe some patches get written. Who knows? Who knows what'll happen? What will happen, though, is I will share my screen. Let me just start by doing that, and we can take a look at the agenda. Yes, today is June 28th, 2023, episode 330. Reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think I know how things are going to go, roughly, you know, what I want to try and tackle, but I don't know how it's going to pan out. We might get stuck, sidelined, rat-holed. We might succeed, we might fail. That's okay. That's all part of the game. We're capturing software development in the raw. None of this is pre-planned, and the points don't matter. The other thing is that the agenda that we're looking at with all these handy-dandy links is something that you have access to. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the details section over there. If you're watching this on YouTube or on diode.zone, it's in the description down there. And if you're watching this on Twitch, it's down in the channel details. You can find a link to the agenda, and as I update it, as I click boxes or add text, this little doodad will spin, and then it'll update. You can just refresh the agenda, and there you go. So what are we working on today? Well, the first thing I want to do is actually review a patch. We're going to get to the Windows jump list stuff. We actually got to a pretty exciting point last week where we had the new backend that we'd written for the jump lists on Windows working. We were able to use it from the browser console, and I want to spend some time today trying to wire up the front end to use that. We can try and recycle a bunch of the code from our first implementation so that you can use a preference at like startup, choose the right backend, and then yeah, that's my plan. That's currently my plan. And then if we can do that, I'd like to review how we're going to write a test for the backend. Like, that is one of the reasons why we kind of had to start over, is that there wasn't a great way of writing a test for the jump list stuff, because there's not a great way of intercepting the calls that we're making to the Win32, like custom collection destination list business. So the strategy we went with was to have sort of like a common interface. We have a thing in between us calling into Win32 that more or less copies the Win32 API, and at, normal execution time, we'll just pass those calls through to the Win32 API with, an implementation of this interface that wraps the native Win32 stuff. And then for our testing, we'll instead wrap something that's more specially instrumented to record calls in, and then we can make sure that like the stuff being passed matches our expectations, because otherwise, speaking with our Windows experts, there's no other real great way of testing this. So that's the plan. And then we can test the front end by maybe mocking out the jump list builder interface, and the populate jump list method, and making sure that that's called with the right stuff, from the Windows jump list. Basically, testing is going to be a really interesting challenge, but the goal is, when we're done with this, that the new backend will be far more testable and far more tested than the old one, and then we can hopefully get these patches reviewed and landed, and then we can start turning it on nightly, and we can just see how it works, and maybe collect some telemetry and keep our eyes out for crashes to make sure that, we didn't do something wrong. Anyway, that's the general plan. What's really interesting, I think, about this particular project we've been working on is I've only been working on it during the stream. So, same goes for this stream, where since the last time I touched this jump list stuff, the last time I booted up this Windows device, you can see that the terminal, like the shell I have here, the text hasn't really changed since the last episode. I think you can check and it'll be basically the same spot. So like we're resuming more or less exactly from where we left off. But I want to interrupt us first before we even dive into that by reviewing a patch. So one of my viewers, who might even be in the chat, I don't know, Danny Colin, sent me a message. They have a patch that they've had in review for a while, and they're hoping I could take a look at it because I hadn't been getting much traction. And that's this one. Show container indicator in all tabs menu. And that's for this bug 1814542. So I've not seen this patch before. I've not seen this bug before. I'm starting this review from scratch. We're going to examine it together. You're going to see how I review a patch. And the first thing I do when I review a patch generally is to read the bug associated with it if I'm not familiar with the bug. In this case, I'm not familiar with the bug. I'm getting the gist of it from the summary, but let's take a look at the sort of the conversation that's going on here. So first of all, one of the things I see is that there's a dependency, 1153201, so we're going to open that in the background. So 5 months ago, Danny filed this bug saying, hey, let's add a line to indicate which container a tab is in the tab manager. So there's this like tab manager thing, and we want to have like a line to indicate the containers that, you know, if any, that belong to, that these tabs belong to. And it's a feature request. And then he put together a patch 17 days ago, and then it was in WIP, I think, for a while, and now it's out of WIP. And now we're taking a look at it. Okay, so let's look at this. What is this dependency? Missing tooltip for truncated lengthy tab titles. Why was that dependency added? Depends on... Why was that dependency added? In a brand new profile, open a page with a lengthy tab title. Open enough new tabs to cause the tab bar to overflow and display the List All Tabs button. Click the List All Tab. Place the mouse cursor over the menu item with the lengthy tab title. There's no tooltip for the full page title. Right, there are no tooltips here. I don't understand why this is... why this, however, blocks this. Oh, showing... I see. He wants to also say what the... He wants to say what the container is in the tooltip. Do we actually change the tooltip? Personal, we do. So if I go to like NPR, we do change the tooltip, and we put personal, the name of the container at the end. So that's consistent. That makes sense. So is that something that Danny fixed here? Let's take a look now. Now that we understand what this patch, what Danny's trying to fix, we can take a look at the patch now and see whether or not it does it. What color is your Bugatti? Do I have a Bugatti? I don't think I have a Bugatti. Where did you see? I don't own a Bugatti. Is that, that's a car, right? Bugatti? I don't own a Bugatti. I don't know. That's a fancy car. I'm not a car person. I don't have a Bugatti. That's the answer. The color of my Bugatti is undefined because I don't own one. I'm not a fancy car person. Okay, so Danny Colin says, I meant simply has Tagger the wrong meta bug. I'm not sure what that means. But let's take a look at what's going on in here. So there's been some conversation. The patch for this started in earlier this month. It's kind of gone back and forth. Requested review back in June 11th. And then the review bot came in. Itiel came in. Back in Proton, UX decided to remove a similar highlight from the selected tab, bringing it back for a different reason may require their consideration or approval. Assuming it's approved, I don't think another element is desirable. This causes falling toolbar button to not be aligned. And he suggests to use a box shadow. It's different than the selected tab highlight. So Yeah, there is no longer a highlight for the selected tab in here. I also thought about using a border, but didn't know if it would be acceptable to remove the border radius. I don't know who can decide on this UX issue, but whoever is decided, I'm open to implement it. I changed the HBox element for a pseudo element and used before and moved the indicator to the left side of the toolbar element. This fixed the misalignment for titles between container tabs and non-container tabs. Also, I discussed with Julius and UX team. At first look, they said the position of the indicator is good. Just drop by to say that we're modifying our tabs for containers UX. It's all right to do it on the tabs list too, even though it's not an official pattern we have under Proton UI. Okay, so that's some tacit sign off from UX there. Okay, so not a very big patch, but let's see what it does. So first thing it does, we have tabs list.sys.mjs. I think there aren't too many places where we list tabs, but this is one of them. Or like this is a module where we like will list tabs. Like you provide it a menu and it will, like a container, and it will insert the list of current window tabs in there. It's trying to be like this generic thing where you can like have it in multiple places to list the current tabs. And then down here, when we create the tab row, we check to see if there's a user context ID. That sounds right. And if so, we get the identity color. And then we add the identity color class. Is that how that works? Get public, like, what is, identity color dash. Interesting. So there is a, somewhere, right, there are these sort of hard-coded in. And then we say, okay, well, you're going to use those. And then we add all tabs container indicator to indicate, hey, this thing is a container tab. So knit pick spacing position absolute inset. Oh, I see. That's how you do positioning of a pseudo element. I see. Okay, let's take a look. Let's apply this patch and take a look. Let's pump up the font so you can see what's going on. Moz fab patch apply to here. Build it. Okay. And let's check it out. Let's see what it looks like. Now I need to install probably the multi-container, multi-account containers extension. Is that true? Oh no, it'll just be, we've got these built-in ones. New container tab, personal. There it is. New container tab, work. Great. That all makes sense. Now what happens if I use RTL? Let's just try that. That looks great. Everything's reversed. Good stuff. Dragging, like, I don't. So there's a little bit of intersection here with the drag indicator. It's not amazing. Hang on. Container. Here's it. All tabs item. Where's our pseudo element? There it is. Can we adjust? What does this do? Yeah, we can like reduce the height a little bit. Curious, does that improve our not really, eh? And there was already this issue with with the selected tab kind of like the background kind of overlapping this drag indicator. That's hilarious. It's not my favorite. That's not a criticism of Danny's work here. This is more about the drag indicator itself. Where's that drag indicator come from? Separator. Drop indicator holder. That's this thing. That's the thing. I wonder if the Z index just needs to be higher. This is like orthogonal to what Danny Coleman was working on. That drop indicator is not amazing in the first place, but I do wonder if we do that and then we can reduce the what did we have here? All tabs item. This was 2px before, I think. Okay, so let's take a screenshot and comment. Oh, geez. How do I do this without the panel closing? There we go. It's the drag indicator. Template box. Okay. Yeah, this thing. I wonder if here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna drag and I'm gonna take a screenshot. Ugh, how do I do this? Alright, I'm gonna have to do this kind of take a full page screenshot. What's the keyboard combo? No. No. There's a keyboard combo. Is it control? What is the keyboard combo for taking a full screenshot on macOS? Shortcut screenshot. Press Command Shift 3. Okay. Command Shift 3. There we go. Got it. Where did it go? Where's my screenshot? No! I think by hitting escape, I like destroyed it. But it might be in on my desktop. Wrong screen. That's the one. We're gonna crop this. Image go crop, and then we're gonna say we can get rid of that now. So this looks pretty great. Thanks, Danny Colon. I think my only concern is that when dragging the items around, the drag indicator kind of intersects and gets overlapped by these indicators. Notably, however, it's also getting overlapped by the background color of the hovered button. So this might all kind of be orthogonal, but we might want a follow-up bug where we boost the z-index of the drag indicator so it doesn't look so awkward. But otherwise, I'm happy with this, so I'm going to go ahead and say approved. But let's get that follow-up. Wait, I see that there is 3-dot menu and toolbox. There's an option to prevent pop or about. Yeah. That's what I was doing. So I was getting frustrated because like I do have that feature on, but the problem is that in some cases there are click events on items like that where when I'm trying to select it using the browser toolbox because I want to like have it appear in the in the inspector here, but if I click, the click event gets received and the panel closes, which is a pain in the butt, and then it deconstructs itself. Very annoying. I should probably talk to our DevTools people about that. All right, let us move on. So accepted. Let's go. Great job. Thank you, Danny Colon, for your work. But yeah, let's do file up that that follow-up patch to boost the z-index of the what was I saying? Z-index of the drag indicator. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully I don't have brain damage. Okay, next up, let us go back to what we were doing with jump lists. So as you recall, we've done all this stuff. Now we're getting to the exciting part where we update the front-end code to use our new backend. And I think what we can do actually is we can do this in yet another patch on top. So we can kind of like, we've got this nice kind of story that we're constructing with our list of patches. The first one is to like put the old jump list mechanism on notice and say, okay, you're legacy. And, you know, we're going to, once you have an equivalent replacement, we're going to remove you. Then we create a new builder implementation, but nothing uses it. And then another patch to use it with a pref, and then another patch for tests. That's kind of my overarching plan here. So I don't believe there's nothing, nothing uncommitted. So we're going to start creating a new change here. And we're going to open up, Windows jumplist.jsm. And we're also going to open up the old patch so we can look at it, compare and contrast. Where is the patch? Close all. And I wanted to look at, what did I want to look at? I wanted to look at jump list, add new, yeah. Oh, you know what? I can just look at it at this machine. What am I doing? The clipboard kind of gets... Blah, blah, blah. So I think I want to do a lot of this stuff still. I don't know what is building was for. Is building. There's this use legacy backend. We're probably going to want that. Read the pref. If use legacy backend. Yeah. There must have been other changes that we made. Like, oh, because like the builder. All right. So we are gonna use a bunch of the ideas here, but we're going to also add a change to where we construct the builder because it's going to be a different interface altogether. But a lot of this we're gonna salvage. Did we reuse that? Yeah. Do one time start read the background preference. Do you want to consider any bugs that occur if the preface lift around? Well, the pref lift only take effect on restart. Yes. Okay. Sounds good. So we'll start here. We'll start here. Let's go right to the top. We're gonna copy that. I don't know what this was being used for. Is building. Oh, for re-entry. Okay. Yep. Okay, I want to do the same thing there. And we should document what is building is. That was line 152. Inside of the constructor of the builder class, which is confusing because we also, like, we have the builder inside of the native code now as well. And this could probably be using like be an ES6 class with like nice private variables and stuff, but I digress. I think I'm gonna copy all of this. How'd that go? After deleting. So we had async build list. Great. All that's great. We're gonna need to do some style there, obviously. And then okay. So we got rid of that and it becomes legacy list building. Ooh. Let's prettify. Okay. And then we rename the old build list legacy. What was this for? This is for clearing the history. We make it return its promise. Clear history. Okay, that all is fine. We're gonna just return. we say we're done here. Right. If there are not URIs to remove, we'll just return the resolved promise. Use legacy backend. Here we go. Now we're getting into the real stuff. The real stuff. Yeah, we're going to copy this too. Wow, Prettify not doing much, eh? Format failed. Open the console. Oh, I might need to do like mock bootstrap. Let's just do artifact mode for now. I don't want to change any of the native dependencies because then I'll have to do a rebuild, and I might have to do a rebuild, and I don't want to have to do that. Okay, next, we want this first change, yes, in update. We're going to change such that if we're only going to do this if we're using the legacy backend. Otherwise, we'll do these. Build list legacy. Okay, and then the other place where we need to do all this, yes. The other place where we need to make a change that's new, that's different from what we had over here, was in the construction of the builders. Over here. Oh, they wrap. Okay, interesting. PB builder. Right. Then they wrap. Not builder. What does it mean to be available? PB builder. What does that mean to be available? SI legacy jump list builder. Sorry, SI legacy jump list builder. What does it mean to be available? Indicates whether jump list taskbar features are supported by the current host. And when is that not true? Legacy jump list builder.cpp. Get available. It's only true if M jump list manager is defined. So like in the event that constructing this failed, this wouldn't have gotten. I see. And I guess that's possible. I guess that's the thing we have to consider, that constructing this thing fails. Now, how does our implementation deal with that? This thing that wraps it. We assert that it exists. So we won't know that that it isn't available immediately. So that's a factor. Init taskbar. So on startup, update the timer, and then startup itself, Windows jump list dot startup. Who calls the startup? Who calls our startup? Browser glue, right here. Not just for Windows 7 anymore, gang. Okay. So this could, like startup does this stuff. This could be an async function. That's probably fine. So that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to say startup. Async. Async. If not, await init taskbar, and we're going to make init taskbar also async. Okay. If this dot legacy use legacy backend else await we're gonna need let builder let pb builder, and then we'll say create jump list builder. That's the signature, right? Yes. Where were we? Okay. And then we'll say let availabilities equal await promise dot all builder dot available is available pb builder is available if so yeah, if not builder or not pb builder, return false. If we'll say builder available, pb builder available. If not builder available or not pb builder available, return false. And then we do our construction here. Is any of this working yet? Oh, come on. Let's go. I don't have... This is Windows 7. What do you want from me? Okay. Class builder. Now, are we screwing ourselves here? So we're wrapping this builder. Did you notice that as well? I think we had seen this in other cases. Like, these arguments are completely ignored. Like, nothing is done with these. So I'm just going to remove those. Let's see. If we call into here, if not builder, this dot builder, instance of CI NSI jump list builder, console dot error should not be the builder is of the wrong type. Return. Okay. And then same with the legacy stuff. Legacy jump list builder. That should do it. Has all this stuff installed yet? Hooray! So now can I prettify? Did it work? Format failed. Maybe I need to reopen Sublime. Mock. Whatever. I'll deal with it later. Build faster. All right, we've changed our front end. Oh, we need to implement that available thing. Let's do that. We're gonna need to, implement available. Get, what is it? Get is available. Is available. Builder is available. Promise is available. To document. Okay. That's a thing that we'll do over here in jump list builder. Okay. And then we need to dispatch a job and pass our basically do this. Oh, not pop, it's just is available. And this only can occur if we've been constructed, if like we have the IO thread and everything, which assert IO thread. It's probably a good idea to do that here as well. We don't have to pass anything basically, but we do need to pass that is available. Do is available. Don't have to move anything. We just have to pass the promise. Okay. And then we need to call, like we need to implement do is available. And we're gonna receive a promise that we're gonna resolve. Okay. Void. And these things. And then we need to check to see whether or not there is a jump list backend. So hang on. I like this sort of approach. We're maybe reject can a no, I want to resolve with false in the event that we fail. I need to maybe resolve with false. And there's no RV required. If there's no backend, no, not available. And then jump list backend. We should add virtual bool is available. These methods all map 1-to-1 with the iCustomDest list interface. Okay, is available. We're gonna implement that here. Virtual boolean or bool is available. We're going to say return ham windows dest list not equal to null pointer. Right. Okay. So then we say do is available. Do is available. Down here, we'll say oh, you know what? This, we don't have enough errors to sort of justify this reuse, so maybe we'll just do this. Resolve false. Otherwise, resolve with mjump list backend is available. Get rid of that. All right. Will it blend? Shout out to, let's give some shout outs. Shout out to anyone watching the stream right now who doesn't know C++ and is wondering what the heck I'm writing. Shout out. Okay, let's see here. It's very upset. We're gonna scroll up. Yeah, I got something wrong here. Line 226 of Jump List Builder. It's like, what are you talking about? That's because this should be this. And same down here. Wait, what? Promise, dot forget. Or wait, no. There's a step I'm missing where I have to create this promise. And that occurs down here. Right. Okay. Try that. I'm gonna Control C out of that build and try again. Okay, well, while we're waiting for this to build, maybe, let's think about what else we're going to need to do here for the front end, the module. We're wrapping these things, and the builder, there's like mainly one mechanism. Like this update thing is kind of the mechanism And a lot of the work that goes on in here, well, there's, oh yeah, update shutdown state. What is that? Update shutdown state. Is that a thing I need to implement? What is this? What is update shutdown state? Oh, I see. Shutting down. If shutting down, we don't build tasks. Oh, so probably if shutting down, we don't want to do our any of our stuff. Build list. Same if we're shutting down. Wait. Yeah. Or this dot shutting down. Okay. What else we got? How'd our build go? Didn't like it. Wasn't happy. Line 333. Jumplistbuilder.cpp. Yeah, you know me. Yeah, right. We're not passing in a return value. We're just moving the promise in, gang. So you live stream. Okay, question from Danny Colin. So you live streamed yourself working on JS and C++, but did you do an episode where you worked on Rust? Smurf D's like, here's my encyclopedic knowledge. 89, 90, and 200. In episode 200, he ate spicy food and solved advent of code using Rust. I don't think I've ever worked on Rust in Firefox proper. Wait, error. This is not completely. Oh, I see. I need to pass in this. Okay. Oh, I maybe don't want to do that. I don't want to pass that in. Bool is available equals. We're going to pass that in. Smurf GPT. Yeah, I never worked on Rust in Firefox proper. I think the thing I was doing in like episodes 89 and 90, if I recall correctly, was I was working on something called the WebIDL parser, which, or the IPDL parser rather, which I think even to this day is written in Python. And there was this idea of maybe porting it to Rust because the IPDL parser and the Python one is like very, very difficult to work with. Let me see if it's still in Python. Parser. Yeah, still in Python, and yeah, it's kind of a mess as I recall. Maybe someday I'll get back to it. Hey, all right, we built. So if we run, we should be using the legacy backend. That might take a second to update, but let's just give it a second. Give it a second. Unless it's hit some kind of error. Windows jump list experienced an error. Get bool pref. Oh, I need to actually add the pref. Yes, okay. So, forgot something. I forgot something. Over here in firefox.js, I need to add this preference. What was it? Taskbar. Okay. And if this works, then we're then functionally equivalent, I think, to what we had before in this old version, but we're far better set up for testing. We can start thinking about testing. Still nothing? Okay, well, nothing errored out from what I can tell. So maybe it's just taking a second. How long does it take to update? Maybe I have to do it manually. Geez, let me remember how to do that. Windows jump lists. It doesn't like it, and maybe that's because is Windows jump list not valid JavaScript? I can't even import it. That's exciting. So I can't even import it. Failed to load it. Why? What's wrong with it? Oh, because it's still a JSM? I think my version of the tree is a little bit old. I'm going to need to update shortly. But yes, this should be JSM. Import. It's not going to like this because of the rename, redeclaration of a constant. Oh boy. All right, let's reload. Okay, let's try it again. Oh, there we go. See? Okay, it's working. It's working. Then this is using the old backend. Great. So that if I do like this, win taskbar jump list, can I say like update? So I'm gonna open up another tab for this Dostoevsky thing, and then let's run update again. Dostoevsky in here. Okay, great. So now I'm going to flip the pref to using the new backend. Reload the browser. Builder is of the wrong type, so we're starting to hit some errors here. So why is the builder of the wrong type? some sources here. Please. Of the wrong type. Which one are we hitting? We are here. What is this dot builder? Oh. Right, that is very much the old. That is the old one. So that's good that we caught that error. We should make these expected NSI jump list builder. And then the other one, expected NSI legacy jump list builder. Now, why is the builder of the wrong type? Use legacy backend. Okay. Let's just see what happens if I re-enter init taskbar. Oh. Okay, builder. That's the right kind. Builder available. PB builder available. That's working. Good. Okay. Now what happens if I say update? Delete active jump list. Why? From build list. What were we doing before? Don't leave the last list hanging on the taskbar. Oh, do we have to implement this too? Delete active list. Might have to implement that too. What does delete active list do? Well, sounds pretty familiar. Deletes any currently applied installation. Delete active list. So we're gonna add that. We're just gonna say clear list is what we're gonna call it. So under new jump list builder, we're gonna say clear list. Clear jump list. And put that right here. Clear jump list. Very similar to what we did elsewhere, which was to construct a promise. Do all of these things basically. Alright, we do all these things, and we're going to say clear jump list. Do clear jump list dispatch. Okay, and then we're going to implement, we're going to have a do clear jump list. And then over here, it's very similar to do is available. So we'll put it after populate. Do clear jump list. Now, how does this work? The old one, the way it would clear, what was it? Delete jump, delete, what was it called? Delete active list. Delete active list is if we're building, we're going to abort. Because all of the building happens on this thread, we don't have that state to deal with. We'll just say, hey, delete list. That's what we're going to do. Do clear jump list. If there's no jump list backend available, we're going to say maybe reject as error unexpected. As unexpected. Then we'll say bool did clear list equal no, we'll do it this way. If not succeeded, jump list manager, we're going to just say delete list. Does the jump list builder have the member, which is the name? I don't think so. I think it's like inside of, yeah, here. Is it going to need to remember? I guess it might need to remember. Okay. This thing's going to need to remember. It's going to need to copy the app ID. And what was the, did I already have a commit list, a for list, delete list? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to say delete list. M jump list manager delete list. Clear jump list. I don't want to do that. Ugh. So I guess I need to get access to the okay. Delete list. App user model ID get. Okay, so we're gonna need to remember it inside of jump list builder like we did before. So if not succeeded, then we'll reject. Has error failure. Otherwise, maybe resolve with undefined. Let's reverse these. If succeeded, whoop. So we can get rid of a logic inversion there. Does that work? Did I get my braces right? No, not quite. Okay. So we need this member, M app user model ID. We're going to need to add that member. The legacy jump list builder had this as well. It was just an NS string, so we'll do the same thing. We'll make it a private member. And we'll just hold on to it. That comes to us from constructor, native jump list. Set app ID, set app ID. When do we do that? Here, in here. Okay. So when we construct it, okay. How do we do that over here? Was there a prior art? Assign. Okay. Okay. And then clear list. Clear jump list has everything it needs now, I think. Do clear list will use that to delete the list. That should work. And now that we've exposed that, where is it? Jump list builder. That's called clear jump list. We're gonna update Windows jump lists. So instead of saying delete, what was it? Delete active jump list. So over here, if this dot builder instance of CI NSI jump list builder, then we're going to say this dot builder dot clear jump list else delete active jump list. All right, let's see how that goes. We're gonna have to do a full build here. We changed some native stuff. Baby. Let's go. Okay, we got a... Oh, we have another problem here in clear jump list 329. Jump list builder 329. Right. I think we need to also get our JS context on. That's going to be the first argument. What's up, Masterways? I see you in the chat. Good to see you. Here's a little something. While we're waiting for this to build, Tim Schafer. That's a name that might not be familiar to some of you. It's very familiar to me because Tim Schafer is one of the people who worked on Day of the Tentacle and Monkey Island. He worked with Ron Gilbert and a bunch of other talented folk to make some of my most beloved video games from the 90s. He is also the person who runs Double Fine Games. And, you know, prolific. Is he prolific? I've enjoyed a lot of the things that Tim Schafer has built, and his companies have built, and his teams have built. And he did an interview yesterday on Twitch. And let me see if I can find it. Because I was in the chat, and I asked a question. What was it? Interview. Was it June 27th? This was just yesterday. Day of the Tentacle. Let me see if I can find the interview because it was pretty good. Twitch. Let me find I was there yesterday. I was watching it. Gotta go through my history. Cressup? Is that the name? Cressup. Copy. Is this the person? Just 1 second. Because, okay, the reason I bring this up, I asked a question and he answered it on the stream, and I was really happy about that. I thought that was pretty cool. Yes. Okay, so this is the channel, Cressup, Tim Schafer. I think they played a little bit of Monkey Island as well, but there was a Q&A. Or not Monkey Island. They played a little bit of Day of the Tentacle together. Or maybe there was a playthrough, and then after the playthrough, a little bit. It couldn't have been a full playthrough, just some playing of the game. Cressup brought in Tim Schafer to chat, and there was a Q&A, and I thought it was really, really interesting. And I asked a question, and it got answered, and I thought that was neat. So I'm going to put a link to that in case you, like me, care about point-click adventure games. Tim Schafer interview with Cressup. I thought it was kind of neat. Okay, so how'd the build go? Build built. Yeah, that's another neat piece of information for all you 90s and 2000s gang. Smurf D points out that Futurama is coming back. Futurama, a new season of Futurama coming to Hulu. That's exciting. I love Futurama. All right, let's see what happens when I do this. So for some reason, we are constructing the wrong builder. And I don't know why that is. We're constructing the old builder. Let's add some logging. If this use legacy backend, console.log, using legacy backend. And then, is it because use legacy back init taskbar occurs before this is set? Yeah. Yeah. Boop, 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 boop. That's why. All right, that explains that. Okay, let's try again. Master Ways is like, thanks for including early 2000s. Yeah, I hear ya. Late millennials. I'm what you call, I'm like mid-range millennial. I'm not quite a geriatric millennial. I'm a mid-range, sort of like run-of-the-mill millennial. And yeah, I think that leads into some of the 2000s, doesn't it? I don't know how generations work. Okay. I think it's working. Now let's try going here. What I learned on a Titanic sub expedition. All right, now update. Hey, there it is. Looking good. Clicking on that. It's going to complain because I've got multiple profiles and the way it runs is kind of funky. But okay. Might have to make sure that I did this right, because the actual execution seems to not be working properly. But the updating works. Okay. I'm going to commit these changes, and then I'm going to call the episode there. We didn't get to testing, but we got to the front. The front end is now wired up. Masterways asks what the specs of this Windows machine is. We talked about this last week. It is a ThinkStation. It's not that new. I got this back probably in 2014. Like machine information. System information about your PC. It's a ThinkStation from back in the day. I mean, yes, I guess Windows 10 Pro, the most recent update, got installed in 2021, but I've had this machine for a while now, and I think we did some lookups, and this machine may have come out in 2014 or 2015, and it was beefy at the time, but it's like these days it's not running as quickly as it used to. I should probably get a new one. Okay, so let's commit our changes. If we take a look at what we've got here, we have a couple of changes to the jump list stuff. That's great. We also have some changes, like the Windows jump list module. We also have some changes to the native layer, and we're going to want to commit those native layer changes under widget to the current patch, and then we're going to create a new patch for the front end changes. So we're going to say this commit or hg amend, and then everything under widget. I think that's how that works, because Windows jump list Windows jump list.mj, that's under browser modules. So everything under widget will amend, and then we should have the Windows jump list and the pref flip here still. Yep, and we're going to create a new commit. Bug such and such. Whoops. Have a wire update Windows jump list module to select the jump list backend via a pref. And I need to rebase this stuff. That's the other thing. Maybe let's watch that right now. Let's watch me do that. HG pull central. This might be a mess, but let's see what happens. Rebase. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rebase them one at a time, because I don't want to freak myself out. So yeah, I've got these 3 patches. Pull central U. Then we're going to rebase them one at a time. And it's been a while since I've pulled from central on this Windows machine. That's why the jump list module is called .jsm here, as opposed to .sys.mjs. All right, let's do this. Let's do this rebase, and then we'll call the episode there. While we're waiting for this data to get pulled down, excuse me. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask me about stuff, about any Firefox technical stuff? I can try and answer. Feel free to drop those in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. Shout out, as always, to Smurf D and Master Ways. They're chatting it up. Yeah. All right, so pulling this stuff down, let's figure out our rebase. I'm a little worried that it's going to be a mess. Why do you use the longer ID rather than the shorter one in HGlog? Like, why do I use this hash rather than the numeric ID? Is that what you mean by that, Smurf D? Yeah, okay. That's a great question, and the answer is habit. I don't always trust the numeric identifiers. Sometimes I'll use them because they're certainly easier to remember, but I don't always trust them because they're not guaranteed. Like, these hashes are guaranteed to be stable between machines. So, like, if you pull down this exact revision, it will have that hash, but it will have a different numeric identifier. And so I've just formed this habit. These numeric identifiers are only locally stable, I think. And so I've formed this habit of only really trusting these because I switch between machines a lot. If you can read up more on that and how M. Conley uses Mercurial, which I think I've linked to before, but there's something in here about each revision has 2 primary ways of identifying it: the revision ID and the hash ID. The revision ID is strictly a number. The hash ID is an alphanumeric string. Both IDs are listed here. The hash ID is what I tend to use to identify a revision. The reason I prefer the hash ID is because the revision ID is an internal identifier that is not guaranteed to be unique across individual clones of a repository. This means that if I tell a colleague to look at revision 598962 in their clone of Mozilla Unified, there's no guarantee that we'll be looking at the same thing. However, if I tell them that same colleague to look at revision such and such in the same repository, we're almost certainly looking at the same thing. Yeah, that's the rationale there. Okay, HG rebase. Ugh. Nope, I need the revision, and I'm going to use the hash. All right, let's see what happens. I'm just going to copy the hash. We're going to rebase to central and see if it explodes. Merging. Okay, it liked that. Next up, create the new jump list builder. Okay, so the good news with all of this is that, like, the jump list stuff, no one really touches it. I'm the only one that's kind of like doing changes to it, so I'm not stepping on anyone's toes, and no one's stepping on my toes. So, you know, these merge. I was expecting more pain, but Mercurial's doing a good job. Now, that's not to say that it's perfect. We're gonna have to do a build. I'm not gonna do that on screen. I'll kick it off before the next episode, and then we can test it all again. But wow, that all just kind of worked. Good job, Mercurial, we think. All right, I'm going to kick off a build, and hopefully by the time the next episode airs in a week, that build will be done. Fingers crossed. Okay, we're going to call it there. Thank you, everybody, for watching episode 330 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. There's a link at the bottom of the agenda here to rate this episode. I'm going to drop a link into the chat as well. Rate this episode link. You can fill out that form. Let me know what you thought. It's a great opportunity as well to ask me any questions you might have. You can send me any question. I'll do my best to answer it on the stream. You know, if I know the answer. I might not know the answer, but if I know the answer, I'll do my best to answer it on the stream. So send those questions in, particularly questions that have to do with, like, Firefox. Like, please don't ask me for my social insurance number. Because yes, I do know the answer to that question, but I'm obviously not going to do that. I'm not going to say that on the stream. So yeah, ask me technical questions about the browser and I'll do my best to answer it. Thanks again for watching episode 330 of The Joy of Coding. I'm going to call it there. Tip your waiter, tip your server, tip your waitress, tip everybody, I guess, or pay everyone a living wage, and then we don't have to worry about tipping. And we'll call it there. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.